Nourishing Nosh. I'm going to discuss sugar this afternoon and the effects of sugar on a child's brain, a child particularly that is struggling with ADHD. Have you ever picked up your child from a party, opened the door to have these screaming kids climbing the walls, making so much noise and so overactive because they've just been fed so much sugar and sweet things? So it shouldn't surprise you that your child's behavior and mood is going to change, and you're going to struggle with your child if he eats that much sugar. But you might say that we do need sugar, and I agree, our brains need sugar, but blood sugar or glucose, in fact we cannot function without sugar. We experience moodiness, aggression, irritability, anxiety, dizziness. These are some of the symptoms that we struggle with if we don't have sufficient blood sugar. The important thing to remember is that we need to have the right kind of foods in order to keep our blood sugar balanced. So when we're eating foods, high carbohydrate foods such as breads, pastas, cookies, biscuits, sweets, the glucose is absorbed very quickly into our bloodstream. So what is refined sugar? We find this in fizzy drinks, in white bread, pasta, cookies, sweet. In so many things today we find refined sugar, which is actually sucrose. And as I said before, this breaks down quickly into our bloodstream. So you're feeling like if you're constantly eating refined sugars, like unfortunately today, children are fed refined sugars in one form or another all day long. This is actually very, very dangerous. And the body tries to protect itself. And it does this by releasing a hormone called insulin. Insulin moves the glucose out of the blood and quickly into your cells to be used as energy. Any excess insulin is stored as glycogen in your muscles and your liver, and when these stores are overloaded, glucose turns to fat. Children who are constantly fed refined sugars experience a seesawing effect with their blood sugar, and as I said before, of course this is going to affect their mood and their behavior, the ability to concentrate, and how well that they're going to do at school. So what foods are best to choose for our children? What do we need to look at? Well, we need to look at whole grains such as fruits and vegetables and legumes. And if you are gearing towards a gluten-free diet, then you can look at other healthy grains such as quinoa, millet, buckwheat, brown unpolished rice, sprouts. The glucose in these foods release slowly into your bloodstream, and so it allows for a more even distribution of energy. But some studies have suggested that children with ADHD that are fed sugar, it doesn't really affect their brains. Other studies say that it does. But if you know and you've experienced that it does affect your child, then why would you want to continue adding sugar? You want to give your child the best opportunity possible, and trust me, by removing sugar from their diet and replacing it with healthy sweet alternatives, then you're definitely going to see the positive benefits in your child. I've got a recipe to share with you today, and it's a recipe that is sugar-free and gluten-free. It's very important that if you're taking sugar away from your child, that you replace the meals with something else, and healthy alternative. So I'm going to share over time various different recipes with you. This particular one is a favorite of my boys, and it's very easy to do. And what's so fantastic about it is that you can make these chocolate chip biscuits or cookies, and you can put them in a container in your deep freeze and just take them out and let them defrost naturally when you need them. So you always have something healthy and sweet on hand if they're craving something sweet, or if they you're going out and you know that they're going to want to have some snacks and there aren't very many options to choose from, this is something that you can just grab from your freezer or from your fridge. It's a chocolate, as I said, a chocolate chip recipe, and I've used nut and oat flour. I'd like to show you here what I've done is you can use any nuts. I've used Brazil nuts and pecan nuts. Pecan nuts are my favorite, they're delicious in cookies, but you can use any nuts. You can use almonds, cashews, hazelnut, whatever you have on hand. You're using your food processor. I've measured about a cup of nuts here, and I've put this through my food processor, but I've watched it carefully so that it's sort of still got quite a bit of texture, and it hasn't, the oils haven't shown itself yet. It hasn't turned to a nut butter, but it's still quite grainy, still like a meal. So that's about, as I said, about a cup of nuts. And then I've used about a cup of oats, and I've done the same thing, put it through my food processor and made some oat flour. So I'm going to use this as my base. And then the other dry ingredient that I have is, I've got a mixture here of vanilla powder, as well as some cinnamon. I've used some ginger and nutmeg, but you can use whatever you want, whatever is your preference. I just enjoy putting comforting spices in, like nutmeg or cloves or cinnamon into my cookie mixture, into my desserts. Then I've got chia seeds here. Chia seeds are, I've got about a spoon of chia seeds. They're a fantastic high fiber food, high in protein and your omega-3 fatty acids. It really is a fantastic superfood. I'm adding that. Then I've got cacao nibs, organic cacao nibs, but if you can get sugar-free chocolate chips, you don't, there again, when you're looking for chocolate chips, if you're not going to make them yourself, you want to be careful, read the labels and make sure that you're not getting something with sugar in it or something, an unhealthy sweetener. So I've used cacao nibs, which are actually very nice in these biscuits. And then always just a touch of salt. I use a very healthy Himalayan, pink Himalayan salt. Salt always balances your meal. It's important to have that in any dish that you do. Then as the sweetener, what I have here, I've actually mixed them together because I thought it was pointless just putting it into two separate bowls, because I'm going to be using it now, using it together. I've got about a quarter cup of unprocessed, unheated honey. You don't want to have honey that's been heated, because then it's just going to turn into the same substance as sugar. It's going to have the same effect on your brain. So you want to go for, you want to have something that hasn't been heated or processed. And of course, honey, as you know, all the food value there, it's an important food for your brain. Then mixed with that, I don't know if you can see that, is dates. I've used dates as my main sweetener, and I've made a date paste. How you do that, I've mixed about a quarter cup of dates. You can leave it, soak it overnight, put it through your food processor or your blender and make a date paste. You can leave, if you want to always have a healthy sweetener for your cereals, for baking, for smoothies. Date paste is a fantastic alternative to use, and a very healthy alternative. You can leave it in the fridge and you can just take it out as you need it. It'll only stay in the fridge for about 3 or 4 days. So I've made a date paste here with the honey. I'm mixing the two together. Another sweetener you can use is maple syrup, but not just any maple syrup. You can, at a health shop, you can get maple syrup that is unrefined organic maple syrup, but it's quite expensive. So I find dates and honey are probably the better choice to use. Dates are very good in high in iron, various vitamins, very good in potassium, and it's a very good fiber. Those are some of the benefits of dates. But if you look at our website, the Nourishing Nosh website, I have listed the benefits of the different foods, and then there's quite a bit of information there on dates and chia seeds and some of the nuts as well. So you can see, you just mix this together until you're happy with the texture. If you want it a little bit more moist, you can maybe just slowly add a little bit more cold water. I wouldn't necessarily add more dates or honey because it could become a bit too sweet. Oops, I'm missing. Okay, so you mix it all together until you're comfortable with, happy with the texture. When you've done that, the best is actually to get your hands in and mush it all together, and then you get the right, real feel of it and the right texture. Okay, we've got our mixture ready now. You've got the moisture content exactly how you want it. You've tasted it, you're happy with the taste. Remember, if you're not altogether happy with the taste, once you start cooking it, it's not going to miraculously change. So you really need to make sure that you're happy with it. So what I do to cook these biscuits is I use a dehydrator. You might have heard about a dehydrator. I'll just move this in. I use my dehydrator. The reason that I do this is it will cook the cookies below 47 degrees, so I'm not losing any of my nutritional value of any of the ingredients, and I'm not losing any of the enzymes that you lose when you cook when you're using the conventional way of cooking. If you don't have a dehydrator, that's fine. You can still make these cookies raw, so to speak, but to add to that, you can add to keep the structure more solid. Once you've made your cookies and you've refrigerated it, you can put about this size mixture, I would say about a spoon of melted coconut oil. You can add that to your mixture, and then once that goes into the fridge, it will solidify, so it'll make the texture, it'll hold things together a little bit better if you're going to have it in your fridge. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it into the dehydrator. So I'm not going to go through all these cookies, but you can just take whatever size you want. Perhaps take all the mixture and make a ball and just shape it on your dehydrator. Just shape it the way that you are happy with. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better if it's not perfect, if it's all just different shapes. You can get your children to actually do this. They love to do this. You can mix everything together and they can just get their hands in and they can shape it in whichever shape that they want to, and they really feel like they're a part of things. So what I will do, I'm not going to go through all of this. I just shape my cookies and then I just put it on for about a half an hour on a higher temperature, and then I turn it down just so it crisps on the outside, and then I'll let it dehydrate overnight. And I'll turn it over the next morning and might dehydrate it just for a few more hours. And yes, as I said before, you can put this into the fridge, seal it up, or the deep freeze, and just take them out as you need them. As you're going out, or your children want something sweet, they want a snack, you can just take these out. So if you want to learn any other recipes, any other healthy recipes, please email me at Sherry, SHERRY, at nourishingnosh.co.za, and I'd love to hear from you, and then we can do more of these videos and make some more lovely healthy treats.